Hello, Carol Taylor-Kearney here at Powell Arts, and I'm with Cassandra Jennings Hall, and she is going to introduce us to this beautiful work. Cassandra.
These are my paintings, Whirlwind and Love of Life. Acrylic paintings on paper. I am an artist infatuated with color.
Yeah, and it shows. Your colors were obviously, when we were looking at the work, the first thing that drew us, because lots of people say they love color, but you know how to work color, which is amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
I pick colors I want and I start painting. And then hopefully something happens. That's why I laughed when you said, he doesn't know what it's going to look like.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
When it's finished. And the thing is, I thought all artists didn't know what it was going to look like until it was finished.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're doing abstracts.
Yeah.
Well, with that guy, he starts off with something that's physically already there, and then he basically undoes it and puts it back together.
Mm-hmm.
You're in an even worse spot because you have the first mark, and then what's the second one, and what's the third one, and then how do you build?
So actually what I do is the first two layers of these paintings is yellow ochre and titanium white.
Oh.
So I use paper to press, then I peel it back. And then that gives me images and some texture.
Mm.
So then I just have to determine where I want to put the mark and what color I want to start with.
Well, and it's also interesting because, and Carol knows more about this than me, by using those colors, because of the way the colors interact, it'll push and pull the things that you put over it, which is really interesting because that's the second layer of how you work color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that would explain too, like one of the things that I find not so much surprising, but it makes it's something that makes them stable and shows exactly how much you understand and think about color, is that a lot of times, especially when artists are starting with abstraction, they end up having little sections that pop off. Like it's like boop, boop,
Yeah, it doesn't fully
Work the
integrate.
whole piece.
right.
Yeah.
And these, your eye just moves. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing with composition as you're doing this process?
I wasn't kidding when I said I start with the first mark. I don't have anything in my head about composition or anything. And then I just put the colors down.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep doing that until I get something. And that's how the composition starts. And then I build it from there.
So it sounds like the way you create your compositions is you take the first mark and the second and the third mark, and then once it starts to come together, then you think about, like, as you add, you think about the composition as a whole, which is, it's almost like through composing a song where you start with the first line and then you move from there.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And these do look very musical in that kind of way.
Well, I don't listen to music when I'm painting. I don't listen to anything, actually.
You listen to your head.
You listen to the sound of the world.
I don't know how much my head has to do with it. I hear some people say that, they're thinking about it as they're doing it, but I'm just doing it. I'm not have no preconceptions or anything like that. I just put the paint down and see what happens.
So when people look at this, you don't necessarily want them to stand there and go, oh, an intellectual reaction.
Well, I hope not. I hope the painting gives them pleasure that they see and they say, oh, this is me, or something like that. Not,
that it speaks to them,
touches them in some way.
So how long have you been doing, is this, do you work in bodies of work? Do you work in singular pieces?
Well, this is a series of paintings I did 2015?
Mm-hmm.
I did those. And I did about 40 paintings.
Wow.
During the spring and the summer.
Yeah.
I just sat down and I started, put old layers down the yellow ochre down, and then I just started working from there.
When you work on a painting, do you work it from start to finish, or do you find yourself working at it to a certain point, and then, I don't know about you, but every once in a while I have a painting that is yelling at me as much as I'm yelling at it. And it's like, you're gonna go stand in the corner, little painting.
Yeah, I have that experience. How could I say? I got 2 paintings I'm working on now that I haven't touched in weeks. But I have an excuse for that because I'm recovering from breast cancer.
Oh.
So I can't do but so much. I just kind of take it easy when I'm working and trying to conserve my energy, which has been successful so far. So doing very well with that, by the way.
Good, it's good to hear.
Yeah, it'll be over soon.
So you're still under treatment?
Yeah, I got a treatment to take at 2:30.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, I used to work in the beginning when I should say in the beginning. I had been doing art all my life, since I was a kid. And it was like kind of a hobbyist kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you come home from work, you don't have any plans, you pull out the paintbrush and a piece of paper, some inks or whatever, and you see where you're gonna go from there.
Right.
You know, and then got married, and that's even before I got married. I moved and I started doing some painting regularly, and showed them to some people at work, and was really shocked that they were starting to buy them. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then I got married, and I really got married late, so I don't have any children or anything like that. So I had to occupy my time more. And I started painting regularly. So when I paint in a series of 3, particularly the big paintings. These little paintings, I'll do 10 or 12, and that's the series. And I'll move on to something else. But usually I paint in a series of 3. So they might be a large painting, a medium-sized painting, and a small painting, but the same theme and colors.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to be
So they
my
speak to
question.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I just do 3 big ones, and the same thing. I paint on them all because it's acrylic paint.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of water, so it's tinted. And sometimes the whole canvas is wet, so you have to wait for it to dry.
Yeah.
So when I'm waiting for it to dry, I'm working on another painting.
Yeah. Well, you're turning to an oil painter. And then
Yes,
you think
even
I spend my life waiting for it to dry.
Waiting for it to dry. Yeah. So basically, that's kind of how I do it.
Well, I'm surprised you're saying that, because oftentimes people who are working wetter media, the paper will start to wrinkle or distress, and I can see some areas where it's roughened the paper or from the materials, and it adds that another layer of texture.
But these are so
to it.
smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the reason why you see texture and it's smooth is because I'm pressing the paper down. So when I lift it up, it looks like it's got a lot of texture. I actually had somebody come over to my studio, and she was looking at my work, and then finally she couldn't help herself. She started rubbing all over. And I said, yeah, it's flat. And she said, yeah, I see. She thought it would be bumpy or rough or something.
Right.
And it wasn't.
Well, it's like we were looking at some of the different artwork out there, and things that you think are going to be rough are smooth, and things that look smooth, you go up and you touch them, and I'm like, what the heck is this? You almost pull your hands away like, ah.
Yeah, because your brain is like, this doesn't quite add up to what I thought. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm also looking at this, and it looks like there's some little areas and touches and lines that look almost calligraphic that you've added to it. And aside from, the beautiful painting. So number 1, is that also acrylic paint? And number 2, how do you decide where to put put those lines? Because this one has many more of them than this one
This
does.
has a lot of pencil in it.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes what happens is I put down lay out a piece of paint. And then as I'm working, I'm crisscrossing and I'm going through it. And then when you finish, you have a line.
Mhm.
So the line, I don't draw the line. I guess I kind of build the line.
Oh,
That's
okay.
interesting.
So, yeah.
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 It's one of the things I've taught for years.
Mhm.
And when you try to explain line to art students and even students who are just studying art, they always think that line is a mark that you make, but line is also where two things overlap,
Right,
and then
right.
what's left.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
Oh, my
yeah.
insulin pump.
Okay.
But no, that's beautiful the way that you explain that, and I just love the vivaciousness of the color, and this with its circular whirlwind composition,
Mhm.
and this it almost looks like a garden. I just want to spend time sitting and pondering it. So I hope you all come in and see Cassandra Jennings Hall's beautiful, outstanding old paintings. at
Beautifully
Powell
colorful.
Yeah.
I would truly appreciate it.
At Powell, and buy them too.
Absolutely.
At Powell.
Through August 7th.
Thank you.
Boom, we did it.
Great.